They're fun, and we're gonna kill elephants for no reason. Why would you kill elephants for no reason? I don't know. Wait, what's going on, Dave?
I don't know. Where are we?
What?
Who?
What? 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 Oh, hey! Internet, what's going on? This week is Don't Be Evil, a straight-up satire at this point. We think so, and we're going to tell you why. The mayor of Peoria sent the cops to raid the home of a guy running a parody Twitter account, but don't worry, it was just a parody raid. Nothing bad happened. And we've got Jonathan Siddharth here, the CEO of Flipora, to talk a bit about his newly launched service this morning. My name's Justin Pott. You're listening to Technophilia. Doing that. I'm in Boulder, Colorado. With me today from Connecticut is Dave LeClaire. How's it going, Dave?
Oh, you know, still in Connecticut. Connecticut type things. So nothing.
Okay. Not with us from the UK is James Bruce. He has a new son as of last week, healthy, doing fine, just spending a little bit of time at the hospital today. He will be back with us, as you all expect, next week. We've got the chat room going at tlk.io as usual, and as I said before, Jonathan from Flipora is here. Hey, Jonathan, how's it going?
Pretty good, Justin. How are you guys? This is Jonathan from Flipora, and it's great to join you guys on this podcast.
It's gonna be fun. We're just gonna have a little conversation about your service here. So it's launch day for you. You just launched Flipora 2.0. For listeners who don't know what Flipora is, this is a service. I think you said it has about 30 million users, right? And you can go to it to see stuff you want to read. It basically, you install a browser extension and it tracks everything you do online. So maybe some people would feel queasy about that, but there's a pro to being tracked, and that's that you're going to see articles that you like. Do you get a lot of feedback about this? How do people like being tracked? Do they like that part, or is it? What do you think?
Yeah. So to back up a little bit, just for your viewers, Flipora is an AI-based recommendation engine for websites that automatically learns your interests.
Yep.
Websites to you based on what you're currently in the mood for. So that's our product.
And that's why there's the constant tracking, right? Because then it knows what you read most recently, just now. So if you just read about the World Cup, oh wait, we told everyone there wouldn't be World Cup on the podcast today. We were specifically asking for bans. So I guess let's say you just read about cupcakes, World Cupcakes. Maybe Dutch ones or Australian. I'm not being choosy here. Let's see. You were reading about that. You go back to Flipora, and you would see content relevant to what you were just looking at. Just more stuff kind of relevant to what you're looking at right now.
That is correct. And the way we do that is, as you pointed out, we have an add-on for Chrome and Firefox, also for IE, that gives us access to web browsing history, and we're able to personalize recommendations based on what you're looking at. But of course,
it's primarily a website right now, not a mobile thing. And that's cool. Not a lot of people are doing web first at this point. So as a non-smartphone user, kind of excited about that. So you were saying it tracks a little bit of audio problems, sorry. It tracks what you're looking at in order to know what your interests are, and it shows relevant stuff based on that, correct?
Correct. And you needn't download the browser extension if you don't want your web browsing history to be tracked.
Okay.
In that case, Flipora will personalize primarily from Facebook. We look at websites that you have liked and shared on Facebook, and we figure out what you're interested in that way. However, like, looking at web browsing history is helpful for two reasons. Firstly, it's the most accurate representation of who we are in terms of what our interests truly are.
Yeah, because you're not going to tell Facebook everything about what you're actually interested in. My co-host Dave has some really terrible interests that he'd rather the world not know, right?
Sure.
And maybe he wouldn't want to put the like button for some of these things on Facebook, but he sure does read about them constantly, and this would allow him to find more stuff about that.
Yeah, that's true. And we have like a bunch of these examples. Like, for example, I mean, do you guys like Megan Fox?
No, I think she's a terrible actress and a disgrace to everything that she touches. Yeah.
So, I mean, I won't comment on her acting ability. I think it's fair. I think she acted pretty well at Transformers.
Okay.
I mean, after Optimus Prime, I thought she was one of the best actors in the movie.
Not exactly a high bar, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf is not exactly taking home any awards. The Academy is not banging down his door.
No, not really. In fact, but go on. Okay, so let's say I do search Megan Fox all the time. Do like a little Megan Fox pop up in Flipora. Should I be worried about looking at Flipora when family's in the room?
Yeah, but my example was like, I mean,
Yeah.
I would totally enjoy watching like a Megan Fox photo shoot or something like that, but I might not share it on Facebook. Like I have all my VC contacts, my professional contacts, my like other contacts on Facebook, so I may not share it. So that's one. So you kind of see what the problem with Facebook is. People mostly share stuff that they want to be seen sharing. So if we personalize only based on Facebook, we wouldn't get an accurate representation of what a user's interests are.
Just what they're projecting, what they say that they are. I mean, it doesn't take long to scroll through Facebook and find out that the people on Facebook aren't really saying everything they're interested in, right? They're working very hard to present themselves in a certain way.
That's correct.
Yeah. So for people like that, this might be a helpful way to see articles relevant to your actual and not your projected interests.
That is right. And of course, on Facebook, you also wouldn't share content that would be kind of controversial. Maybe if you are a Democrat and all your friends are Republican, or vice versa, there might be some sort of potentially charged content around, say, minimum wage or whether it should be abolished or raised. You may not want to share that on Facebook and indulge in like a needless flame war or lengthy debate. So again, that's another example of some interests that people keep private and don't really project on Facebook.
So if you were just looking at people's Facebook posts, and just the public Facebook posts, right, because you wouldn't necessarily have access to the private ones depending on people's settings. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily get an accurate representation of what people are interested in reading, and certainly not what they're interested in reading right now. So we've got a service like Flipboard, right, and you can add individual publications. You can add a curated, kind of somewhat edited interest things, but it's all on you. When you start up Flipora, it just scans your browser history. It scans your Facebook profile, and it tells you what you're interested in based on that, meaning you don't have to pick stuff.
That's true, except that today we don't look at your retroactive browser history.
True.
So it begins tracking from that point forward. So the reason web browsing history is good is not only because it gives you a more complete picture of a user's interests, is that it's also a more high-frequency signal. Like people post on Facebook or like something on Facebook pretty rarely, right?
Okay.
But most regular users browse something like 50 to 100 pages a day. So we get a lot more signal to figure out like what a user is currently in the mood for. For example, so that is another reason why web browsing history is good. To get back to your point about what do people think about it from a privacy standpoint, from giving up this data to Flipora? I have a couple of thoughts on that. I have 2 points. My first thought is that the reality is, in today's world, people are getting more and more used to the idea of trading off a certain amount of privacy, as long as they get a greater amount of utility out of the system, a greater amount of value. For example, like 10 years back or maybe 30 years back, it would have been inconceivable for people to have been okay with their mail residing in a company's servers, right? All my personal mail, my work mail, in this somewhere.
So let's say it's 1990, and we tell someone, here's what we're going to do. Every time you send a letter to someone, the Postal Service is going to open it, and they're going to just, with a little blue stick, put relevant advertising in the margins of the letter, then close it, and then send it to you. People wouldn't be comfortable with that back then. So you're right, there's like a progression, and people are becoming more and more okay with giving up their privacy in exchange for convenience. And what you're saying, this is just, your service is another step?
Kind of, except like you made the point of people not being okay with, people kind of being okay with putting ads in your mail. I'm talking about something even more basic. The very idea of mail residing in the cloud is pretty, like but we get a lot of convenience out of it, right? Like we can access our mail from anywhere, from any device, just with email in the cloud. Being okay with ads is another level of sort of trading off the privacy utility equation. Like online dating is another example. Like people are okay with their personal interactions while dating, sort of being in some company's servers somewhere. So in general, like people are getting more and more comfortable with the idea of giving up a little bit of privacy, as long as they get more a greater amount of value or utility out of the service.
Okay. Okay. So the utility in your case is that you now have a website you can go to, Flipora, and just see stuff that relevant to what you're interested in right now.
That's right.
But that assumes that you've looked at something else related to it immediately before, right?
That is right. I mean, if we don't have anything exactly relevant to what you're currently browsing, we would use data from like from your recent web browsing history to show you a recommendation.
Yeah.
But there's one other point, Justin, that I wanted to make, which is on this question of privacy and giving up your data to get a certain amount of value.
Yeah.
It matters who is getting the value out of a user giving up their privacy. In your example, with Gmail sticking ads in the email, the user is not getting any benefit out of giving up their privacy with their emails getting scanned. It's Google that's getting benefited.
Google gets the benefit from the scanning there. I mean, the user gets benefit because Gmail service exists because the ads pay for it, right? But you're right, they don't get direct benefit. You're saying that your tracking is the feature. Without the tracking, Flipora is functionally not there. Like the tracking isn't something you do to monetize it. It's actually what the service is. It
is the product. That is correct. Yeah. I mean, it's important to be very transparent about what you're doing, about the data that you're collecting, and it's not good if you do something and then you collect this data and use it for this different other thing. In Flipora's case, like, we use the web browsing data to show you much, much more personalized recommendations to help you discover a slice of the web that you never knew existed. Like in the case of many aspects of Facebook as well, the trouble is you give up a certain amount of privacy, but oftentimes it's not you who's benefiting. Maybe it's your friends who benefit a little bit because maybe Facebook kind of publishes some stuff. Maybe it is good to, maybe for your friends who see the stories that get posted in your newsfeed by certain apps that maybe exploit loopholes in your privacy. Maybe your friends benefit a little bit, but you're kind of pissed when it happens, right? I didn't know the stories wrote what I wrote. So again, it's a case of the end user not getting the benefit of giving up a little bit of their privacy. So with Flipora, it's just about you. Your web browsing history is not used for anything else. It's used to show you great websites. It's not.
So you don't use the web browsing history to make advertising, to make advertising irrelevant.
We don't. Like, we have ads in the product, but it's not targeted based on your web browsing history collected through Flipora.
That's interesting, because every other technology website on the face of the planet, including Facebook, which we'll talk about after you wrap up here, seems to exist primarily so that they can collect user data so that they can use it to show more relevant advertising. That seems to be like the end game of every company right now. And you're saying that's not true for yours. This pays for itself without us having to do that?
I mean, we do show ads, and we are comfortable. And to be honest, and this is something that I have a beef with a lot of Silicon Valley companies about this. Which is a lot of Silicon Valley companies seem to almost be embarrassed that they show ads to monetize their product. And they upload it, and they do all sorts of gymnastics to sort of not be straight and clear to your users and to the public that, hey, we are a free service, we monetize with ads. And that's it. Like, Google tries to avoid talking about the fact that they make a lot of money through ads. Facebook tries to avoid it.
It's like they're a charity sometimes, right? Oh, we're just doing this nice thing that you can use, right? They don't. You're just flat out saying, yes, we do show ads, but you're not using browsing history to make those ads more effective. Do you think? I mean, you've mentioned that you've got a lot of investors behind the product already. Do you think there's going to be pressure to use that data to show relevant ads at some point? I'm just genuinely curious because it seems like you're not ruling it out. You're just not doing it now.
So so it is possible that in the future, if we can think of a good way to show targeted ads. I'll give you an example. Like, for example, if I'm reading Make Use Of, or say I'm reading Lifehacker, right? And maybe maybe I'm one of those rare people who haven't been to Make Use Of before. And Make Use Of is a great publication. I've seen your site. I even listened to a couple of your podcasts before this to get a flavor for what your show is like.
Flattery will get you everywhere. Go ahead.
But imagine Make Use Of, say, for example, wants to grow its readership and to get to be in front of new readers who would benefit having been introduced to it for the first time. We could potentially have a product in Flipora where maybe you Make Use Of is a sponsored recommendation shown to users who visit Lifehacker. Right?
And that would be monetization that is useful to the reader, assuming that the content's good. You'd have to filter that, but that's interesting because you're not showing a straight-up ad. You're showing content from someone who happens to be paying you. So that's a little bit, I mean, it's blurry, right? But it's a little bit different. That's interesting. Well, if anyone hasn't checked this out yet, they can go to flipora.com. They can install a browser extension. The browser extension has a few settings you can configure. By default, as you browse the web, you'll see pop-ups with relevant related articles to whatever you're reading right now. And but you very good about allowing us to turn all this off if we want to. So I really appreciated that. And the new interface, Flipora 2.0, you're calling it, launches today. It's a lot cleaner. The design is gorgeous, and I don't know. It's going to be useful for a lot of people, I think. It's kind of Reddit without needing to pick which subreddit to subscribe to is the best way I could describe it. Yeah, it just automates it. So if anyone wants to sign up, they can just go to flipora.com right now?
That's right.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to say, or should we move on to the news?
Let me think. Yeah, my comment was, so we might do those kinds of ads in the future, but the important thing is when we do that, we'll be very clear that that's what we're doing.
You've got to be honest with your users.
Yeah. And I mean, we would do it only if we think that it'll be a great product that our users would like, that people who are advertising, the publishers would like. In this particular case, I would actually call it a win-win. I think Make Use Of would be a great publisher ad partner too. Like it's a.
You're assuming we have money, sir, and that's a dangerous assumption to make. But I appreciate the sentiment. Yeah. No, it's an interesting conversation. I hope you don't feel like we took it in the wrong direction right away. I was just really interested in your thoughts on that issue because we're going to talk about it a little more with Facebook now. But thanks for taking the time, Jonathan. I hope you have a great launch day, and I hope that it becomes everything you imagine. The website, again, is flipora.com.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks, Dave. And thanks for having me on the show.
Bye.
Thank you.
And moving right along to the news. Facebook is apparently, in other tracking news, tracking your web browsing to show you relevant ads. They're actually doing that right now. And I've been thinking for a while that this is the reason, Dave, that Facebook put like buttons on every page on the web, right? You see that like button and you think it's just a quick way to share it to Facebook. But it also means that Facebook has a little bit of code embedded on almost every news article on the internet, and that means they can track if you read those articles or not. Makes sense to me.
Are you saying that it's not just for me to tell my friends that I think this article is neato?
No, it's
my whole perspective on the internet has just been shattered.
Yeah. You thought Facebook was just doing a nice thing, right?
I thought they were on my side, man. You know?
We've talked in the past about how Facebook, even if you don't have a Facebook account, there's a shadow account of you based on your browsing history. Because every time you go to a website, if there's a little Facebook like button, Facebook knows that someone from your IP went to that site at that time, right? And I guess now they're going to be using that information that they have, regardless of whether you have an account or not, to show you more relevant ads. Now, this is what Google does already. They're tracking your search activity in order to show you more relevant ads. So it was surprising to me to hear Jonathan say that he isn't planning on tracking users' data in order to show those ads, because that seems to be what every Silicon Valley company is trying to do right now. It seems to be the main strategy.
Well, I guess that's why he's not doing it. He wants to be different.
Maybe.
Doing things his way.
Jonathan was very careful to not rule it out, though, you'll notice.
Yeah, well, you got to leave your options open, but I appreciated his transparency and honesty, especially when you're dealing in a company that's whole purpose is to track users.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the fact that he didn't seem like he was keeping anything back or being shady. So that's...
No, you installed the plugin for Flipora specifically because you want it to track your users, right? And people are going to have different levels of comfort when it comes to being tracked or not being tracked. There are some people that are being like, whatever, if I get cool results because of this, that's worth it to me. And there are going to be some people who don't want it.
And there's also going to be people who don't even really understand exactly what it is doing. It's just like, oh, this thing shows me stuff that I'm going to like. Cool, I'll install it in my browser without really understanding that means it sees everything you do.
Yeah, I would have liked it if you brought up more questions while Jonathan was here, because these are all interesting points.
Yeah, but I didn't want to feel like I was attacking him or anything like that.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm trying to be friendly, but I also want to, and a tech-savvy user like us, right, is going to have different priorities than someone else, so I don't know if I can necessarily get into those people's minds. But it was interesting to hear him say, like, 20 years ago, Gmail would have been a foreign concept, but now people are used to it. There seems to be this mentality that we're all getting more and more used to the fact that we're being tracked constantly, and as such, apps that track you aren't as shocking as they used to be. And even the NSA, not as shocking as it used to be. So a World Cupcake update. Apparently, for every 2 Dutch cupcakes, there's 2 Australian ones now. I'm being told by the chat room. So that's disappointing. I would like to see more Dutch cupcakes because I think they are delicious.
Yes, apparently somebody was handling the cupcake with their hand, and there was a questionable call because they didn't use the knife and fork in the way they're supposed to.
Yeah.
People were upset about this, but
touch it. But there's another Dutch cupcake as of right now, so this is incredibly riveting, exciting stuff. So
I found that these particular kinds of cupcakes make a fantastic alternative to NyQuil. So that's just me. I don't know.
So Facebook has promised in the past that these like buttons that they're placing on every single website on the web won't be used to track web activity, but you gotta wonder, and this makes me suspicious of everything now. Twitter has a very great API for embedding tweets on other sites, but are they just using that so they can browse, track my activity elsewhere? Is there no way to get away from this tracking? You go to any site and there's going to be something from Facebook, something from Twitter. Is that all Google Plus cared about when they launched that service? Is getting these +1 buttons on every site so their advertising would be more relevant? Like, is this just what everyone's doing? Is this the end game of every Silicon Valley company? I'm kind of getting, I guess we just have to accept it. And then all these companies act shocked when they find out the NSA is tracking us when that's literally all they do for a living. So anyway, speaking of being a little jaded about Google, YouTube is removing the music videos of artists who didn't sign on for Google's streaming service. This, to me, is just... Okay, so they're not removing the video. Sorry, I said that wrong. They are not allowing certain bands to make money off ads on YouTube unless that this band is also signed in with the streaming service. So there's going to be a YouTube music service, kind of similar to a Spotify, similar to what are the other services, Dave? Spotify, radio. Groove Shark is still a thing, I think, but they don't ask.
Groove Shark is kind of shady.
Groove Shark's like the pirate radio station in town.
Amazon just launched Prime Music, which lets Prime members use their music, like 1 million songs for free.
Yeah, 1 million songs for free. Yeah, if you're an Amazon Prime user, you can get that. Oh, nice. Nice. I'm loving your face, Dave. For those who are listening to the audio version, I'll give you an audio version of it. He drew a mustache with MS Paint, and it's overhanging his face.
There's a new program called Draw that lets you draw on the podcast.
Well, I'm clearly stopping everything right now. Searching for a face. Do I have a face? It's going to find Mario's face behind me here. I bet.
We'll be drawing on Mario.
I don't have a face! This is what happens when Dave leaves. We lose all focus.
When James leaves, you mean?
So YouTube's launching a music streaming service, right? And they've got the 3 major labels signed on, and that apparently makes up for like 90% of all the music recorded. But there are some bands who don't work with the labels. Radiohead, notably. I think there's a few other ones. And yeah, those artists now don't get any advertising revenue from their YouTube videos. So nothing changes for you. But they're kind of abusing their market force, being, it's still searching for, I don't have a face, I got to give up on this. They're kind of abusing their market power here, and I'm not sure I'm comfortable with it. And I know when Google decided "don't be evil" should become an unofficial catchphrase, that they had to know this would come back to haunt them again and again and again and again, because once you become a big company, you're going to do things people perceive as evil. But I see this as straight up mafia stuff. Like, you can't make money on your music videos anymore unless you agree to sign this contract for another mostly unrelated service.
Well, I would like to believe that the best interest of users are at heart, and it's a way for users to listen to more music. I'd like to believe that that's the primary focus here.
Yeah. Maybe it is. Maybe YouTube just really wants every single music service to be on here. But the independent labels are saying that the compensation for the free version of this streaming service is just nowhere close to worthwhile, and they'd rather not work with them. Now, most of these labels do have agreements with Spotify, so presumably the compensation's lower for Google. I'm not sure, but it's kind of stuck there. I don't know. It's just something about this story leaves me feeling really uncomfortable. I've loved Google for a long time. If I am a fanboy of anything, historically it's been Google. Love Android, love Gmail. And I've been using their products religiously for years and evangelizing, and this just makes me feel like they're just another company. Maybe I've said this before, but I feel like they are just a little company. If only there was something that could make me believe that there's something magical about Google again. Oh, wait. So there's been a cryptic YouTube channel for months now. People have been trying to figure out what it is. It's called WebDriver Torso. It has thousands of videos that's just black and white squares with seemingly random sounds. I don't know if you've checked any of these out, Dave.
I have not.
Well, let me play one here so you can kind of get the... That's it. It just sounds like that with rectangles and squares, blue and red. No one knew what they were for, and for a long time people were theorizing it might be some kind of underground marketing campaign for something, but it's not. Apparently this is just Google testing YouTube. They make these videos with these tones and these shapes, and they upload them, and they see how the quality compares. And they revealed this to the world a couple weeks ago when they added Rick Astley dancing to one of these videos, and then put out a little release about how they're never going to get up on high video quality or whatever. I don't know. But I'm just so happy
that it wasn't Rick-rolled everybody, basically?
Basically. I don't know if anyone was watching these videos every week to see if there was some kind of pattern or trying to figure it out. I mean, there are obsessive people on the internet who will do stuff like that, right? But it was just one of those mysteries on the web. No one knew quite what it was. And as a TLDR points out on their blog here, it's just really nice to see something like this that's a mystery have a resolution that's not, we want you to buy this service now. It's just really refreshing. It's really disappointing how I promised everyone there wouldn't be World Cup coverage on the podcast, and it's seemingly all the chat room wants to talk about.
Well, the World Cup's a big deal, man. People really care about that football thing.
Football outside of America, but I know that Dave has no interest. I know that it would just be me talking to myself if I were to bring it up, so we're just not going to do it. But man, we're just a World Cup chat room today. No one's talking about anything else. So I hope we're decent background noise if you have both going on at once.
How do I look right now, though?
How do you look right now? I see. I'm looking at the show notes. I don't know. Holy crap! Where did you find a pixelated rainbow? Did you draw that? What's okay?
No, there's stamps that you can use. Boom! It's gone. All right, that was fun.
The chat room being like, "Man, you guys need me," and we're like, "Yeah, we do need you. That's why we usually have you on the show. If we didn't need you, we'd fire you." But we're doing what we can.
Is that an option?
What? Can we get Dave back on?
No, firing James.
He does the audio editing.
True.
Oh.
Yeah, I was going to do it for the last episode, but then I realized that I don't have any of the music stuff, like the bumpers or anything to make it.
Oh, isn't that? I think we have that in a folder somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. That's vague.
Oculus news now. Oh man, we really need James for this one.
James.
So Oculus Rift And we could just summon James in here. He's in the hospital right now. I don't think it's going to work. Dave is a little distracted. Justin's basically doing a one-man show. That's kind of what it feels like. Dave, let's talk about some stuff here. So you know what Bloomberg is, Dave?
Yeah, they're a website.
They're a website. They're a
Paper
media
thing.
company, but they make most of their money providing consoles to businesses. So let's say you're a stock analyst or whatever. Bloomberg has a lot of information about stock prices and all kinds of stuff, and they sell access to consoles. Now these consoles run about $10,000 a year per user, so like they're not cheap.
Per user?
Per user. Per user.
Balls.
Verify that. But I don't know, if you're working in financial analysis, getting that information maybe a half hour before someone who doesn't have it is going to make a lot more than $10,000
Wait,
worth of
according to
difference.
this article, it says they range from $20,000 to $24,000 per person.
I understated, right? But like
You were,
this
yeah,
is
you were half.
really understated that. So yeah, $20,000 through $24,000 per person. And so when your customers are paying more than most people on the planet make per year, like per customer, you really got to make sure that you fit their needs. And one thing a lot of customers complain about is there's not enough monitors. I don't know if you've ever seen the desk of someone who works in financial services, but they just have monitors like everywhere because they want to track every little minute thing that's going on. If you have ADD, I think working in finance would pretty much be perfect because it seems like a really expansive game of EVE Online, basically.
Non-stop, fast-paced, just craziness happening around you.
Reacting to crap happening in tons of windows. So anyways, a lot of people have complained that it's not physically possible to put enough screens on their desk. Like they would collapse. So Bloomberg is demoing the Oculus Rift for this, because this way people could make as many virtual screens as they want, turn their head to their heart's content, and see as many displays as possible. So could this be an actual useful reason to have an Oculus Rift? Dave?
No.
Why not?
That sounds nauseating, like just having all these colors and lights, and then like they're trapped in, like, in the real world, like if I'm looking at all these monitors and I need to just like give myself a break, I just turn my head away from the monitors for a second.
Oh, hey, ladies and gentlemen, from a hospital somewhere in the UK, James Bruce, how's it going?
It's going fine. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you sound okay.
That's
So,
fantastic.
you're just on your phone?
That thing. That little thing, that thing called Kai.
James, what do you think about Oculus Rift for... Oh, wait, it's a baby!
Holy crap!
The Oculus! Hello.
It's Oculus! It's little Oculus from the stories!
Did you actually name him Oculus? Is that really his name?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
He's Kai, silly. Okay, I give you him back now.
Okay.
He's
That's your
officially
first
made his first public appearance. He's already famous, and he's only like a week old.
That's
Oh
amazing.
lordy, this show was terrible without me. Carry on.
So James, we're talking about Oculus and how it's going to be used to revolutionize the financial industry. What do you think?
So
yeah, sorry, I don't have the show notes in front of me. Obviously,
The
you've got that
Bloomberg
thing, right? Yeah. It looks
yeah,
beautiful,
Bloomberg's
doesn't it?
demoing this. Do you think it's an actual practical use for the Oculus? Because financial analysts apparently cannot fit enough monitors on their desk, and if they were all virtual monitors, that wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
You think that-
Yeah. No.
No, it's not actually useful? Why not? You're like the biggest Oculus booster in the world, so I'd be really interested. Why do you think this isn't a good idea?
Well, you would need like ultra 4K screens for a start, right? To even make anything useful out on the screen. Like right now, if you have those 9 virtual screens, all you're seeing is like a pixel each, right?
Yeah.
It's that bad.
But what if you set them up in a 360-degree area around you, so you could just be in your chair and just be like, oh, I want to see what's happening in China, and then you just, whoosh, no, I want to see what's going on here.
The fans have already
Screen
decided.
wouldn't be a tiny pixel; it would be all around you.
It would be a couple of tiny pixels all around you, wouldn't it? No, you still can't get the resolution because you're emulating real life, right?
Yeah.
So you need to have at least like 20 times as high resolution as you do in reality to emulate something high res in virtual reality, obviously. You see what I
Okay,
mean?
so let's say I'm sitting right here at my desk, and I have one monitor right here, and another monitor above it, and then all like within my field of vision, I can really only look at one at a time, and I'm capable of focusing on just one. That might be kind of hard in a virtual reality headset, unless I'm just
I
trying
don't
to
know why
picture.
they can't just use virtual desktops. I mean, it's the same thing as switching your head around, right?
Oh, they want it all to be visible simultaneously, though.
How is that possible?
I mean, in a lot of places it's possible because you have 9 monitors at once.
Right, but you still have to move your head to look at things.
Yeah, even if it's in a virtual reality thing. So, yeah.
So what you're saying is the Oculus Rift is useless.
No, what I'm saying is you're useless, but the
We
Oculus
found the
Rift-
one real world use case scenario for Oculus, and you have said it can't happen. Therefore, James Bruce is admitting live on this podcast that the Oculus Rift is useless.
You've gotten rusty, James.
Lies, all lies.
Being a father has made you weak. How's your first week as being a father?
Not bad.
Not bad?
Are you
Well,
sleeping
like-
less than normal?
I tell you what, we'll still be pirating, and my son is never going to work in the entertainment industry.
Okay, okay.
And
We had a
let's
conversation.
also establish now, Nintendo still sucks.
Nintendo.
Some things will never change.
But he's going to want to play Mario, man. I can feel it.
Yeah, he's going to be really excited about it. Oh, you must have actually listened to last week's podcast when I was saying all that crap.
Yes, I did.
Oh, man. Oh, we look forward to hearing more fatherhood updates. I'm sure all the fans are just thrilled to hear about what being a dad is like, I'm sure. Like, yeah, everyone loves that
I need to go.
when you focus on technology. Okay. Have a good rest of your day, James, and thanks for stopping by. We look
No, I'm
forward.
good.
Oh, I thought you said I need to go.
No, I'll stick around. Just
Okay, never mind.
You're
The
fired.
Sometimes.
The mayor of Peoria sent the cops to raid the house of a guy who ran a parody account on Twitter. Now, he's being sued for abuse of power at this point, but it just seems like an overreaction. Now, the parody Twitter account in question was not so much funny as it was profane. It was just some guy pretending to the mayor saying, hey, I'm going to go do a line on the roof of City Hall, and really stupid stuff like that, right? And I could see talking to Twitter to shut it down, but getting the cops to go to the guy's house and seize every single iPad and computer in the house seems like a bit of an overstatement to me, Dave.
Why did he have more than one iPad in his house?
Well, numerous people lived in the house, and they took all of the people's iPads.
Well, let's be honest. If they
Yeah.
deserve to have their iPads taken, because iPads are dumb.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wait, that's not the crux of the story, though, is it?
No, iPad users should be punished.
Yes, if you have an iPad, they should all be seized from your home. That is the moral of the story. No,
Okay.
so it sounds like
That might
the
actually
guy
be one of
should
Apple's
be.
future
It
monetary.
sounds like he may have gone a little bit too far, though, with his. It's one thing to parody somebody, and it's one thing to imply that the person you're parodying is out doing illegal things that could get him in trouble or ruin his career. But
Yes,
the
but at the
cops
same
may be a
time-
little excessive.
At the same time, it's one thing to request Twitter take down a parody account.
Yeah.
That's not actually funny. And it's one thing to send the cops to the guy's door and raid all of his electronics.
Basically saying, I'm the mayor and I have the power to do this, so I'm going to do this.
I mean, of course, once you do that, you've got a Streisand effect going on, right? Everyone who has a slight disagreement with the mayor on this is going to create a parody Twitter account. And that's what happened. There's, I think, like 100 of these parody accounts of him now, because...
Since when is it illegal to have a parody account?
Pardon me?
Since when is it illegal to have a parody account?
It's not illegal to have a parody account. Libel is illegal. So if you have a parody account that doesn't look like a parody account, doesn't identify as a parody account, and isn't clearly a joke, that's where it's illegally questionable.
And he was posting that, like, hey, I'm the mayor and I'm in my room doing drugs. You know, I'm blowing lines of coke and whatnot, which, without saying that it's a parody, makes it look like to some random person who searches for that guy's name on Twitter that this dude is tweeting that he's...
As we all
doing
know,
coke.
it's impossible to be mayor of a major North American metropolitan area and do crack and keep that position. That would just be silly.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
That never happens. So.
Listen, this is the United States, not Toronto.
This is in
Okay?
Toronto.
In America, we like to keep our political officials free of drugs,
Yeah.
DJs, and anything else that's not wholesome.
Did you see what the mayor of Los Angeles did last week?
No.
Oh, never mind then.
Was it something about the Kings? And he's like, we have a hockey team here? I didn't even know that.
No, he was at the party apparently, and he said there's two rules in politics. You don't swear, and you don't allow anyone to take your picture with a drink in your hand, but today is a big deal. That's what he said. So,
Well, it was a big deal because the Rangers lost, but let's not talk about hockey.
well, we were told by I. Dom Davis to talk about anything but the football. That was our main instruction from the fans, so far as I know.
I also banned hockey though, so.
Oh,
You
okay.
don't have the power to ban anything, Bruce.
Yes, he does.
Your
think
future
he
overlord does.
You have no power. Only the fans have power here. You're just a dude
Just
with a
some guy.
baby and a plaid shirt on.
You know one power James does have, though? It's the power to turn on his Xbox by saying Xbox on.
He barely. That shit barely works.
I know, but it is a power that Dave has. There was an ad involving, I forget his name right now, the actor who played Jesse Pinkman on Breaking Bad, Aaron Paul.
Yep.
Aaron Paul's in this ad, and he's demonstrating the voice commands for the Xbox. Great idea, right? Just show how it works. The problem is, if this ad runs on your TV, and he says Xbox on, your Xbox actually turns on. And people's Xboxes were turning on because of this ad all over the country. So, and this is the problem with voice command, isn't it? Like, anything could literally trigger it. Oh, why don't you put your Xbox on the table over there, and then it just turns on, right?
You have to be a little more forceful in your commands than like that. That probably wouldn't turn it on, saying you
Okay.
have to put your Xbox on the table, because you do have to kind of go like put a little pause. But yeah, the ad definitely would trigger because he's literally saying the commands the way you would say the commands. But,
Well, I'm a little confused about this though. If you're watching TV, your Xbox is already on because presumably your Xbox controls your TV, right?
I don't know. I unhooked my cable box from my Xbox. I didn't like it very much.
You actually use
so
that?
it's your fault for not using the Xbox correctly, Dave.
Brilliant, brilliant.
For some reason, when I had my my Xbox hooked up to the cable box, my cable would just stop working sometimes.
Yeah, mine does that too, actually, which is weird because.
But then I would unhook it and hook it up to the TV, and it worked perfectly again. So I don't
Yeah,
really
it would say like we
understand.
lost the signal for your TV or something, right?
Yeah, so I just said, you know what? It's cool. It's a cool feature, but I don't really need it. So I got rid of it.
I'm not ready to give up on it yet, though. I feel like that would be. But the thing is, my Kinect actually broke. Sometimes it doesn't turn on now, so it's kind of totally useless.
Xbox on. Nothing.
Well, play that commercial with Aaron Paul, though, and it will turn on right
I
away.
think it's that thing where if they put out an update for the Xbox and your Xbox goes to sleep or something, then you can't. You have to turn it on manually to update the software because it puts it in some weird. So that's why I think it's stupid. Well, there's a lot of messages in the chat right now. What's that?
Well, the chat, they have stopped talking about the World Cupcakes, so that's good. And they're mostly
Now they're talking about Kai Oculus Bruce.
or as they've nicked him, Cobb, which I think should stick. I'm going to call your kid Cobb from now on. Oh, is that Cobb?
It is.
Why are you calling him Cobb? I don't get it. Like
Kai Oculus Bruce.
Keep talking. I'll mute until he shuts up. Oh my god.
It sounds
Anyway.
cute.
You're in a hospital room right now, I guess, James, so connection is intermittent. I thought I'd point this out. There's this organization I got a lot of respect for called the Sunlight Foundation, and they're based on the assumption that if you make politics more transparent, make it easier for people to reach their congressmen, the government comes better. But the point, a lot of congressmen don't have an email address that's just on the web. They presumably want to avoid getting a lot of spam, so it's usually a pretty complicated process to contact your congressman using email. Now, my congressman's on Twitter all the time, so I could probably get him that way, but email's a little different. But the Sunlight, there's forms you have to fill out, believe it or not, to get an email address in some cases. The Sunlight Foundation has a website you can go to. It will check your IP to make sure you're in the district of a particular congressman. They limit it to... but what they do is they fill out the forms for you. They give you an email address you can send to. They'll fill out the forms for you and then forward it on. So using technology, sort of, to replace a problem that I think government should have fixed a long time ago, but still, good to see someone's doing it if the government's not going to do it. Anyways, maybe not interesting to everyone, but I thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a little making life easier to get in contact with people to solve issues, even though I never solve issues. I make issues.
Yeah, but now the Sunlight Foundation has to deal with the spam, right? They've basically made an email address that they run for every congressman, and they filter it out. So, the congressmen get messages from people who want to hear from them, but it doesn't cost the government money to filter out the spam and all that. So I think it's a good arrangement overall. So good work, Sunlight Foundation. I like it. Moving right along to more Silicon Valley fun, Uber's CEO, Travis Kalanick, he gave a talk about robots replacing drivers in the future, saying that the most expensive part of an Uber ride isn't the car, it's the guy sitting next to you. And in the future, we're going to get rid of the drivers, and it's going to be cheaper to use our service than it will be to own a car, and that will change everything. Now, for some reason, Dave, and I can't understand why this would be, drivers were a little upset about this. Do you understand that?
I can't imagine why. I mean,
if the CEO of your company gives a speech saying, like, oh, wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to have employees anymore? You'd think that's awesome, right? Because the company's going to be more profitable later, right?
Right. I mean, and it's going to be cheaper for the people who need rides. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't see that seems like a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Uber's driving privately owned taxi companies out of business all over, and a lot of these people are going to work for Uber because it's like the option they have now. And they should be really happy that Uber's giving them the job that they do before they completely destroy their business. Why would you protest that?
I don't understand Uber. What is the difference between Uber and a taxi?
So Uber has a smartphone app. There's no reason the taxis don't have this. Uber just made it first. Where, let's say you're standing on the corner and you want to ride, you can open up Uber's app, right? And just say, I want to ride from here to here and get a price right away. You know what it costs before you get into the car, and then they just pick you up and drive you. These drivers don't have to get a taxi license in most cases, the way that an actual taxi driver in New York City would. So it's a lot cheaper. And another thing Uber does is they vary their pricing based on how busy they are at the time. And this sounds like a bad thing, right? Because if they're really busy, the ride's going to cost a lot more, but because it costs more, fewer people are using it, so you're more likely to actually get a ride. Whereas with a taxi, because the pricing never changes, you're just screwed. You're not going to get a taxi because everyone wants one. So that's kind of the difference, right? A lot of people don't like that dynamic pricing part of it. They think it feels unfair, and it kind of does feel unfair. It's kind of like the equivalent of a hardware store during a natural disaster marking up all their stuff 1,000%, right?
Yeah.
Feels unfair.
But
people don't like it, but it also makes some economic sense. If you're willing to pay that much for a ride at that time, that's what the ride is worth.
I was just looking at their website, and apparently they have Uber in Connecticut, but it's like they list it as cities, and then Connecticut is just listed as Connecticut.
Well, of course, Connecticut's just one city, isn't it? It's probably smaller.
Apparently.
It's probably smaller in some cities. So anyways, yeah, so the drivers, they don't get benefits. They're basically hired hands, right? They're all considered freelancers who have to operate their own cars. They don't get health insurance or anything like that. And now the CEO of their company is saying, yeah, we're going to replace you all with robots. I wouldn't be too enthusiastic about my future at that company if I were the driver, would you?
I mean, but don't people work at Uber as, like, a lot of them, it's like a part-time thing? Like, I could just sign up to become a driver right now. And I assume that wouldn't be my full-time job, though, right? It would just be something that I would be doing for, like, some extra cash or something?
I think some people make it a full-time job. I don't know. But, it's kind of just a extra thing for most people. But a lot of people have spent money on a car specifically so they can do Uber well. It's a lot based on ratings, right? So if you have a nice car that's clean, you're probably going to get more people than if your car's what I imagine your car.
There's also the Uber Black, which you sign up for if you're actually a professional chauffeur with a commercial license and stuff. So those people must make it. That would be like their job. So yeah, that would definitely make me unhappy, but it's kind of him just saying what everyone already knows, is that every job is going to be replaced with robots eventually. So
I can't wait to hear Dave Bot argue with James Bot about the Oculus Rift.
Listen, James, I think the Rift sucks. Well, I don't care what you think. You are a stupid robot, and you have no reason to use virtual reality because it is already in your robot chips.
Ever since Justin Bot left to be ambassador to Justin Canada, this show has gone downhill. This is the chat room bot.
Nintendo is dumb. Miyamoto Bot makes the same game every year.
I am sick of Mario Bot.
I think I want to listen to that podcast. Actually, that sounds pretty good.
This will be our overall of the show. Welcome to Technophilia Bot. We just
Bot says we need to have more listeners.
we need more bots. I have programmed 20,000 bots to download the show and drink Mountain Dew.
Dave Parak says Uber Black is racist. Thanks for the commentary, Dave. I appreciate your insight into these delicate matters.
I don't know. I could see if you're working for a company and the CEO saying how happy everyone's going to be once you don't have a job anymore. I could see that being a little discouraging, though. Overall,
a little bit.
Speaking of Nintendo, I'm assuming James put this story here, but he says, for once, Nintendo, we agree. What's fun about streaming to Twitch? Nintendo is apparently not going to add Twitch TV streaming to the Wii U the way that Sony and Microsoft have added to their consoles. And they said, not that it's a technical limitation of the Wii U, but just Twitch streaming's not fun. They did point out that they make it easy to share short segments easily with the web. Right, and that is why, for example, this Luigi stare has been a viral sensation in the past weeks, right? But they don't think that many people would have a lot of fun watching someone play Nintendo games for hours, and apparently they've never been to YouTube.
See, here's Nintendo's whole. This thing sums up Nintendo's entire problem.
Yeah.
In a quick little nutshell, is that it's not for them to decide what is fun or what people want to do. We've already clearly established that people like streaming to Twitch and people like watching people stream to Twitch. Yeah. So it's not for them to say that it's fun or not. People want it.
Yeah. And right now, if they want to do
simple. If people want it, that means it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't decide what is and isn't fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, they make the games so they get to decide what games are fun. Well, I mean, whether or not people buy them.
No one thinks they're fun. No one buys the games, right?
Right. But the fact is, you can't say, like, what fun is streaming to Twitch? Twitch has become, like, this megalith business that is just, like, it basically runs the video game industry at this point. Yeah. Clearly, people think it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, lots of spend a lot of time watching it, and a lot of that time is Nintendo games. If I were Nintendo, I would have tried to take advantage in some way of the megalith cultural force that was Twitch Plays Pokemon, but they basically ignored it. They didn't shut it down, to their credit, but they ignored it, and that was a huge moment for them, I think. Like, they should be really trying to embrace this stuff, and they're ignoring it. You're right. This is... Yeah, they just want control over everything. Maybe they'll make their own website with live streaming at some point.
But it's the same thing with their games too. Is like they don't listen to what people want. They make what they want to make.
Yeah. Well,
instead of trying to adapt to what the market actually wants.
If they had made a Pokemon MMO 5 years ago, they could have supplanted Warcraft with a younger audience.
Yeah, really.
They don't listen to what people want because that's not what Miyamoto wants to design right now. And he's this artist type with a vision.
But yeah, it's funny. That little thing with the Twitch just completely sums up everything that Nintendo is doing wrong.
You're right. Weird. You're right.
Oh well. I still think their things are looking better with what they showed off at E3, but at the same time, what they showed off at E3 is still just more typical Nintendo stuff. Nothing is nothing's really
I was
new.
Stunned that. Like, one of their new games basically looked like a remake of Yoshi's Island, which is a game no one played in the 90s, right?
Yeah, they have Yoshi's Island crossed with Kirby's Epic Yarn.
Yeah,
basically.
They're just like mixing. Oh well, people liked Yarn and people liked Yoshi's Island 20 years ago. Let's mix that together. New game, called it, right?
Which, I mean, granted, it does look like a pretty cool game.
Yeah,
looks fun.
Yeah. Looks all right, but I've played it before. It was Yoshi's Island. Like,
yeah,
you've got, Super Mario Galaxy was a brand new spin on a familiar concept, right? And that's not what they're doing now.
Although they do have that Splatoon game that's like a shooter, but with like paint and stuff. That seems like something new. It's new for Nintendo, especially. So. Can't say it was all the same old stuff. They did have
They
some
have
new
one
stuff.
game starring the most annoying character from Super Mario Galaxy as the main character, and it looks basically like a new Mario game, but you play as Toad instead of like.
Well, that's like a puzzle game. That was like a mini game that was in the new, what was the latest, whatever, the one on the Wii, the 3D Land or whatever. That was like a mini game that was in it, and people liked it so much that they turned it into a full game. So that's actually Nintendo listening to the fans for once.
That's true. That's true. Okay, I didn't realize that. But I don't know. New Smash Brothers looks fantastic. I don't think they're going to have any complaints there.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's just more Smash Brothers. You know?
It's just going back to a formula that works, but it's a formula that really freaking works. I don't know. I think Zero Punctuation put it best in a recent video that was masquerading as a review of the latest Zelda game for the 3DS, but quickly just turned into a letter to Nintendo. And that's like they put out the Wii. It became this huge mainstream consumer sensation, right? But then a couple years later, everyone who bought it and was just playing Wii Sports kind of ignored it, stopped buying new games, and they were just left with the same hardcore audience they had before, who were just waiting for games that they already loved, and they don't know how to move beyond at this point. And for Sony and Microsoft, it's the third-party developers. Yeah, but I think we've had this conversation many, many times. But you should check out that Zero Punctuation video if you haven't. It lays it out pretty well. Anyways, Twitch brought out some deep feelings in us from Nintendo.
Speaking of funny stuff like that, though, did you see the there was a thing that was like going around the web, and it was review of Ubisoft game. It's Ubisoft game the review, and it's basically just a review that doesn't call any specific game, but it basically hits on like every Ubisoft game that Ubisoft's ever put out. It's like it starts with, after 9 months of non-stop marketing, Ubisoft game is finally here, but does it live up to our expectations? Find out in our review. By now, we've all heard of Ubisoft game, and if you haven't, then you're living under a rock. Ubisoft game is the latest in a long line of titles from Ubisoft, and with a bigger budget than ever before, and no less than 75 of Ubisoft's 193 global studios working on it, there's no doubt that this year's Ubisoft game is going to be the big one. And it just goes on from there, and it's quite funny. So you should check it out.
.net. This is fantastic. Check it out. Ubisoft game the review. This is everything that's wrong with the gaming industry in one.
They did a really good job with their satire review in that one. I found that hilarious, and it's true though, because Ubisoft games really are all the same.
That's gold. Yep. I'll have to frame this. That's fantastic. So, we got a question on the Twitters from Smarty1, who is our most loyal Belgian listener. And he's got, in 2 days, I have a chemics exam. Which make use of t-shirt should I wear? He always wins the contest, so he's got a few. The geek one or the WTF one? Well, it's chemistry, right? So, I mean, those are both ones with the chemical element spelling stuff. Now, it depends how confident you are. If you think you're going to do well, I would do the geek shirt, and otherwise the WTF shirt, right?
Yeah, I was going to say the geek shirt, you might be spouting a little overconfidence to your professor. He might make some last-minute changes to the exam to make it harder. He might be like, oh, look at this guy. He thinks he's a geek. All right, fine, let's see this. And then he goes in and he changes like 3 of the questions.
Yeah. So I'd be a little worried about that. So maybe I would stick with that one. Yeah. So
unless you are super confident that you can walk in there with your head held high and your geeky chest out, and you just look at him and say like, "Make it harder. I don't even care. I'm a geek." And then,
I would stick with WTF. Yeah, I think that's a good thing. We also got Idom Davis saying there's an irony that the latest Technophilia podcast talks about poor internet in the States, while J-Pot sounds like he's down a well. I have no idea what happened last week. It's the same connection I use every week. James is pointing out that it's my DSL and that I should switch to cable. I'm not giving Comcast any of my money, so I really feel like I don't have a choice here. Am I better this week, Dave?
This week's better than last week. Yeah, last week you were cutting out a ton.
Yeah.
This week, at the very beginning, cut out a tiny bit, and then it's been pretty smooth sailing since then. I don't know if it has maybe something to do with the fact that there's 2 of us, so like your internet's not working as hard.
Because it's not getting 3 video streams simultaneously.
Because it cut out a little bit when the guest was here, and since he's been gone, you haven't cut out once that I've noticed. So
yeah, that shouldn't matter. I'm not uploading more because the video, like the guest is here, right? So I don't understand. I just know that we never had this problem with Skype. Like,
I think we should just start maybe recording separate feeds and then
record the audio separately and just have this be a problem on the video one.
Yeah, because I mean, if it's live, people expect a certain amount of hiccups and things, and it's acceptable. But when it's not live, then people are like, "How is this shit messed up?"
James could use the video version as a guide, right? But I think we need to start doing that.
So no one ever complains, though. No one's ever like left a review on iTunes and said like, "Why is the quality cutting out?" So.
Well, yeah, it's always been good enough, but we all have decent microphones, and we do have, like, good recordings are possible, so maybe we should just do it.
James will probably bitch about it, though.
Oh, definitely.
He loves to bitch. It's what he does.
Become the editor of the show. Anyways,
he's
what
the
else?
editor of the bitching section.
Oh, we talked about this cup, and you wrote an article on the new site What's the site?
Failorwin.com. Me and Jackson have started a website.
Failorwin.com, and you've got a review here of what I think is the dumbest cup I've ever seen in my life. It's $100 this cup, or how much is it?
It's $100 right now if you pre-order it, but once it comes out, it will be $200. And it was $200 to pre-order, but they decided to decrease the cost probably after the bitching from people who were saying that the cup was overpriced. So what it does is you pour a drink in it, and then it tells you what it is, what the drink is that you just poured in it.
Well, it tracks how much you drink too, though.
True, it does do that.
Ongoing quantified self movement, where people try to track absolutely everything about their lives so that they can find the one thing that's making them unhealthy so they can magically become healthy again, even though all they really need to do is improve their habits slightly and work a little harder day by day to become better. Instead, they're just gonna gather a whole bunch of information and hope that that somehow prompts their miserable selves to improve themselves, even though nothing can prompt them to improve themselves except for themselves. So you get this cup. You pour a beverage into it. It tells you what's in the beverage on a little display on the outside, and then it keeps track of how much you drink. Now, of course, this means that immediately after your coffee, if you want a cup of juice, you have to pour the juice into that same cup. If you rinse it, is it going to track the water that you used to rinse it?
Apparently it doesn't. It knows that you're rinsing based on the fact that the liquid doesn't sit in the cup long. Okay.
But sometimes I just fill my cup with water and then just drink all that water right away because I'm a water-destroying monster. It wouldn't. Maybe if I put the lid on, it would know. Maybe that's the trick.
The lid is spill-proof too, which is that's a valuable feature.
Well, that's probably $50 right there. So anyway.
So I posted this article on my Facebook after I wrote it, and then one of my friends was like, "My geekiness got the better of me, and I bought this cup." I was like, oh my god.
You were trying to point out that it's dumb, and someone bought it, and I hate the world.
But he admitted that it was dumb. He just said that his geekiness just got the better of him, and he was like, it's a cup with Bluetooth. I must have it.
Well, wait, okay. Dave Parak on Facebook just shared a $22,000 Android handset. What?
I think I may have my next article to write about.
Well, yeah, I think we just found one for that site.
I think I got another article to write about on the site.
Yeah, there you go. What makes it worth that much? This is insane.
Who knows? Hey, apparently Amazon is doing their press conference right now.
Another one? Didn't they just do this? I'm sick of press conferences.
They're announcing the phone today.
Oh, they're putting out a phone. That makes sense.
Yeah, apparently it's going on as we speak.
Dave also pointed out that IKEA sent a cease and desist to the popular IKEA Hackers blog, a blog basically dedicated to telling people to buy stuff from IKEA. That's all they do. They say, hey, you could buy this and use it to make this. But the whole central premise of the blog is you should buy more stuff from IKEA, and IKEA is telling them to shut down. They've been active since 2009. That's insane. IKEA, you're just being pig-headed on this one. It's kind of like the Nintendo Twitch thing, right? They just don't realize how their customers are thinking, even though they're putting their thoughts clearly onto the internet. So, staggeringly stupid, I think.
Guess what Amazon's phone is called?
The Am phone.
The Fire Phone.
Fire.
Of course, it's the Kindle
I
Fire, the Fire
on
TV.
the phone
Everything's
already.
Fire.
Mozilla's on the phone already. You can't.
It features 6 individual camera modules. What does that even mean?
No one knows what that means. Meanwhile, James is in the chat room saying how he's going to do everything he can to prevent his son from appreciating the sport of football. Yeah,
Good.
you can't control your kid, James. That's outside. Have fun. Because everyone who has a dad who tries to control
football
turns out really well adjusted. You know, if you have a dad who tries to control everything about your identity, you usually don't push back against that at all. You usually turn out pretty much like what your dad wants. I think that's the lesson of every movie. I'm pretty sure.
So the breaking news: the phone's got a 4.7-inch 720p display, 2 gigs of RAM, and a 13 megapixel camera, which is very high for a phone.
Yeah. Well, I have no interest, so I think I'm going to wrap this up. I think we can go to the after show now officially. Art, we need art. I think someone.
Wait, we got to say the stuff.
We got to say the stuff. Oh, thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes. You can visit us on the web at makeuseof.tv, where you'll find a live broadcast once a week. You can chat with us in the chat room there. I'm going to try to get the people who run the chat room to come on the show next week, so we'll see how that works out. You can follow Technophilia on Twitter at @TheTechnophilia. You can also go to facebook.com/Technophilia podcast to get updates from us throughout the week. My name's Justin Pott. I'm in Boulder, Colorado. Dave joined us from Connecticut. You also heard James briefly from a hospital in the UK. And on behalf of all of us, I want to say thanks for listening. See you next week.
Did you thank our guest?
I thought I thanked him earlier. You want me to thank him again?
I don't know. It's too late now. You've already closed the show.
Thank you, Jonathan Siddharth, the CEO of Flipora, for also joining us.
Worthless. You're fired.
Oh, fun show. I enjoyed that show. I talked too much.
What the fuck is the point of a 3D phone? Wait, is the Amazon phone 3D? Oh no, that must be that one Dave Parak shared, right?
Yeah, whatever. So that your text messages pop out at you, and it's
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Okay, so what did we have some good art ideas here? I thought someone had James's fired. I was gonna do World Cupcakes. Let's see if I can find some good cupcake photos.
$21,900 phone.
What's in it to make it worth that much? I don't comprehend.
A 4.7-inch 1080p display, a 2.3 gigahertz quad-core processor, 64 gigs of storage, 13 megapixel camera, 2200 wireless charging, NFC, LTE bands. They're very decent for an Android 4.4 device.
For $20,000, you better get more than very decent.
Well, I'm sure there's other stuff that's making it expensive. It has a ceramic ear pillow.
It's an ear pillow? What does that even mean?
It has ringtones produced by the London I can't say this word. Symphony Orchestra.
You can't say symphony.
I couldn't say it after London for some reason. They didn't flow together to me. London and symphony. If I just want to say symphony, it's fine, but London Symphony didn't want to flow together.
Okay.
It's the camera, expensive feel. It weighs 192 grams. It has a titanium body.
Hey, Dave.
Yo.
While James isn't here, did we ever talk about Smash Brothers characters? Did we do that?
What about him?
Pac-Man, pro or con?
Oh yeah, Pac-Man's coming.
Yeah. So
And
what do you
some
think?
lady from some angel lady from Kid Icarus.
Oh yeah, because Kid Icarus, everyone remembers that freaking game.
I have that game. It's pretty good actually.
Like the original one from the 80s, or the
Yeah,
DS?
yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good platformer.
I tried playing it once, and I found it just unplayably complex.
I don't understand what makes this phone so expensive.
I have no idea. I don't understand what makes it so expensive. I think it's just a gimmick so that
Oh, it
we'll
has
talk about
gold
it.
on it.
There's what?
Gold. Like real gold.
Yeah, see, I knew it was something stupid like that.
Yeah, the
Let's
actual phone itself is just like slightly above average for like specs.
let's take a consumer device that's not going to have that much of a shelf life in the life and memory of humans, and then put something that's worth money indefinitely like gold.
Why are you making art with the Hostess cakes?
I'm just going to turn them into regular cupcakes, you'll see.
Oh, the World Cupcakes.
The World Cupcakes, yeah.
Interesting. Do we have the rights to use this cupcake picture?
Yes. It is the world's cupcakes.
Now that it's the post show, I'm gonna draw on myself some more. Oh wait, but then if I draw on myself, they won't see you making the art. Son of a bitch.
Does anyone have anything better than World Cupcakes?
This is bullshit. Someone suggested something about James, but I don't remember what it was.
James is fired, I believe. I'm tired of doing James art, but maybe we need James art. Maybe that's like what makes the show good.
I suggested Kai is greater than Dave Parak because Dave Parak was laughing how James's baby was on the show before him.
Okay, so I've got this layer here. See if I can remember how to do this. I want a layer made from a selection. Anyways, Wikipedia load my friggin' flag. Is Wikipedia down? What's going on?
I don't know, down for everyone or just me.com.
No, it was just my browser being weird.
So the international prize pool is about to hit 10 million in the next like 2 to 3 days.
For what?
For the big Dota tournament, $10 million prize pool.
I love how international is just a word that means not America.
Well, America's in it, but it's Dota teams from all over the world.
Yeah, I'm just amused at that usage of the terminology.
I've given myself a giant nose.
That's good.
I got a giant nose. I got a giant nose. Use the image of Dave for the art and Dave Bot as the title. No, shut up. Dave Pratt.
I am Dave Bot. This is terrible. What am I thinking? This is not a World Cupcake. What am I doing? This looks like awful.
You just have to believe, and it'll be a World Cupcake.
Got to believe. Oh, look at that. Look at that. There we go. That's a World Cupcake right there. No one said my art needed to be good, right?
Nope. The worse, the better.
The worse, the better?
Yeah.
That's a qualification I can live with.
I'm giving myself an afro.
You should probably have that on. What is up with your nose right now?
It's big. It's like a pickle sticking out of my face. Yo, I got some afro. What up, y'all?
That's racist.
It's a little racist. It's fine.
No, it's not.
A little casual. A little casual racism never hurt anybody.
Yes, it has. Actually.
Oh, damn it.
It really has. Yeah, that's definitely a thing that's documented to have happened. Yeah.
Wow. This doesn't even look like an afro. It just looks like somebody took a shit on my head. It looks like somebody took a shit on my head, but that's okay. 'Cause it's my head and I can take a shit on it if I want to.
So much.
Look at my cool ass hair. I'm so styling. I don't even care.
You're gonna die someday.
We all gonna die someday.
Okay.
Let's see this art. Oh yeah, look at that world cupcake.
I'm making 2 world cupcakes.
Dave Prax says, fuck Dota.
Oh man. Really? That's riveting.
Apparently Dave Prax does not like Dota.
We also hate life.
He hates all fun things.
I've never really played Dota in my life, so I can't really speak to it. There we go. There's our world cupcakes. That looks good, right?
It looks like it was designed by an artistic genius.
Yeah? Well, it was. Me.
Oh, well, there you go.
There we go. World cupcakes, everyone.
Look at those things. Look at those. They are so worldly.
They look somewhat edible.
I would eat those cupcakes, bro. I would eat them good.
118, is it?
Yeah.
Damn, they just keep letting us make these, don't they?
Before we know it, we'll be hitting like episode 1000.
I'm going to know it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be like, really? Still doing this? Okay. Guess so.
I'm giving myself a giant beard because it's fun to have a giant beard and a unibrow.
I'm pretty happy with how the World Cupcakes turned out. These World Cupcakes here are great.
They're very worldly.
Yes. Man, we really do need James, don't we?
Nah, he doesn't add anything to the show.
I think we kind of need him.
Just a lot of casual racism.
Yeah, well, that was you.
Oh.
Yeah, not endorsing the casual racism. Anyways.
How do I look?
Beard. You look like Moses.
What's up, Technophiliacs? This is Dave LeClaire bringing you the podcast that you all know and love.
What? Is that your Moses voice? What, are you holding a stick now?
I'm working on it. Wait, the stick won't go where I want it
It doesn't
to.
move with your hand. Can you draw on other people or just yourself?
I think just yourself.
Uh,
Now I'm Moses holding my Moses stick and parting the Red Sea. I'm Moses. Oh, blah, 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 blah.
oh. With that blasphemy, we wrap up this episode.
Look at my stick, bitches.
Oh, I hate you so much.
You want some of this stick? Ah, butter, bitches. bitches.
Oh, whatever.
Oh, the stick is linked to my head, so
Yeah,
when I turn
of
my
course
head, the
it is.
stick moves.
Oh, that's enough of that. Let's go offline.
Where are we going, Justin? I don't even know. I'm gonna go to the internet. All right, everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Technophilia podcast. We'll see y'all next week, you bunch of bitch-ass bird damn bitches.